Okay, let's see that. Hi, John. Hi, Michelle. Hi, everybody. How are you? Hey, Bernice. Hi, Aaron. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to make sure, did you get the email with the presentation?
I don't think so, but that's okay.
I just sent it to you a couple minutes ago. I do apologize for not sending it sooner.
That's okay. I mean, you can share screen if you want when it's your time, when it's your turn.
Okay.
How you doing, Michelle?
Good. How are you, Zach? Nice to see
Good.
you.
Hanging in there. Good to see
Yeah,
you.
I'm good.
When's the next Beverwick meeting? Is it
It's on Tuesday.
Tuesday, next Tuesday?
Tuesday the 8th. Yep. Let's see. Yeah. Tuesday the 8th.
Okay.
So yeah. So it'll be good. I just got the login information today from the library, so I'll be sending that out probably tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got Dan, Esther. Good to see you.
See,
Is
I
that
have
Zach?
the dues. The dues are all set to go.
Oh,
In
thanks.
the mail.
Zach, I'm representing Blessed Sacrament Church also, because I spoke with Father Dan last week. He asked if I could sort of keep an eye on things from his perspective too. So that'll be fine.
Okay. And Blessed Sacrament. Okay. Louise McNeely. Okay. How's it going, Esther?
It's going okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came in with my iPad this time. That's what I was trying to do the last time when I couldn't get in, but now I feel like I'm like weirdly off to the side. So I thought this would be easier. Like the light's on one side of me too, so that's not good.
Hey, Luke, how are you?
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Good to see you.
And you as well. You as well. Everybody staying warm?
Trying.
Today balmy, didn't it?
It did. It felt pretty good out there compared to what it has been. Although I think this weekend it looks like not only we're supposed to get some snow, but it's supposed to dip back down into the teens and then obviously into the single digits at night. And so not looking forward to that.
Hey, hi, Violetta. Good to see you.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you too.
Okay. Hey, Howie. Good to see you. Hey, John Clarkson. Good to see you, John. Okay. Let's see, we have somebody, League of Women Voters, Albany County. Not sure who that is. Mayor Sheehan, thank you for joining us.
Hello, sorry about that. I didn't realize I came in with my camera off and my audio on. Usually it's the other way around.
Good to see you. All right, everybody, we're going to get started in just a moment here, okay?
Howie, was that you that I ran into at Uncommon Grounds last week with the APD recruits?
Common ground.
Me?
Did he say Helen?
Howie?
Howie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think you might be muted, Howie.
Okay, yes, that was me, Luke.
My apologies. I didn't recognize you with your mask on.
Right. Well, I only knew because they told me that you were going to be there meeting somebody else.
I gotcha.
So
Well, next time I'll be sure to have a conversation with you.
that's okay. So that seems to be a common meeting ground.
Do not let me change your name.
Okay.
Well, you can't be the coffee shop. And I hope your conversation went well. I know the recruit that I met with was very nice and was very eager to join the force. So
Yeah, well, I'm happy they're joining the force. And actually, one of the things I take them on is to the state office campus, which is rather confusing to a lot of people. And they all seem to like that.
yeah, we try to take them around the ring road on the Uptown campus, and then we take them down through Pine Hills and the Beverwick neighborhood where a lot of our students live, and kind of explain the dynamic between the university and the police department. So it's been a great program.
I'm glad we have a chance to welcome them.
Hey, Howie, I may hit you up for a tour of the ring roads.
Okay.
I've lived here all my adult life and I still get like discombobulated in there.
You know, so I used to walk to work there, and people would just drive around forever until they ask. And then when they get directions, then they ignore you. And they just keep driving around.
What about the people who go the wrong way on the perimeter roads?
That happens too.
Yeah,
On purpose, some of them do.
quite frequently.
Okay, everybody, it's 6:32. I'm going to go ahead and get the meeting started. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the February 2nd, 2022 Council of Albany Neighborhood Associations meeting. I'm Zach Simpson, the Cana chair. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. Hope you're staying well and safe out there. before we go to Albany Police Department with their public safety update, I just wanted to mention a few things that are being done to celebrate Black History Month. February is Black History Month in the city of Albany. Office of General Services, they're doing a exhibit at the Empire State Plaza. It's to celebrate the history, accomplishments, and culture of African Americans in New York State. These exhibits will be available all of February in the South Concourse. The African American Cultural Center of the Capital Region is doing a virtual and in-person tours on Wednesdays and Fridays of February. And then on February 19th at the Plaza, Empire State Plaza, there's going to be a art exhibit with large-scale sculptures and installations highlighting Black artistry in the Capital Region. And then on February 23rd at 6 o'clock, is going to be a Facebook Live teaching Black history through theater and educational theatrical performance highlighting the 100 years of the Harlem Renaissance. So if you can make any of those, that would be really great. So just want to share that with the group. Let's go to Officer Webster with the Albany Police Department. Sir, thanks for coming.
Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well and staying warm. I'll just be real quick because I know you guys got a lot to get to, but larcenies statistically are up this month, and it's kind of random. Usually it's December that they go up, which they actually went down in December and up in January. It's kind of backwards this year, but it's up 45% this month. So, and a good portion of that is car larcenies from vehicles. And I know we touch on this quite a bit, and I ask that we please tell our residents and all our neighborhood associations to keep their doors locked and keep things out of their cars. I mean, here's the reasons why we press this subject. One, it's a crime of opportunity. It's very difficult for us to catch. And a lot of times we don't know who belongs to what car or not, especially if the doors are open and somebody's not breaking a window. And two, it's a preventable crime. That's a crime that people can prevent on their own by not keeping valuables in the car and keep their doors locked. And I went through the stats. Most of the reports say that the doors were unlocked. Same thing applies to the cars that are stolen that are running unattended. It's another thing that is preventable and very difficult to catch for us, because how do we know who belongs in what car? So it's a preventable crime, and that's why we touch on those quite a bit. This month we've already recovered 15 guns off the street, which I think is that's really good considering it's January. It's real cold out. But other than that, I don't have anything major unless anybody has questions.
Anybody have questions for Officer Webster? Okay.
That's too easy. I imagine they're going to have more questions for the mayor. They were just waiting for her.
All right. Well, thanks, Officer Webster.
Well, thank you.
And folks, if you're not speaking, if you can mute yourselves, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. All right. So I am pleased to introduce our first presenter tonight, Mayor Kathy Sheehan. She is now starting the beginning of her third term in office, and she was here about almost a year ago with the conversation on COVID we had, where we looked at where things were at the city, the state and county level, and it's been a quick year. So Mayor Sheehan, thank you for coming back, and we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you so much, Zach. And I want to thank Officer Webster. I was hoping that he would get the hard questions, but I'm ready for them. And, you know, Zach, first of all, I want to acknowledge your leadership of Cana and of the neighborhood associations. And even though, you know, we had our formal presentation a year ago to update this group, we've been in constant contact and communication. And whenever I've asked, you've pulled together the heads of the neighborhood associations, whether it was trying to figure out what we were going to do for Halloween or how we were going to distribute test kits and masks. And you guys have been great partners. So you're just so essential to our residents. And I'm really grateful for all the work that the neighborhood associations do. So I want to start with a thank you.
Thank you.
I do have just a really brief PowerPoint presentation because I'd rather have a conversation, but I feel like I can't over communicate enough what's happening with our rescue plan funding. So Zach, am I able to share my screen?
I think so.
Yes, look at that. Okay, here we go. Share. And I'm gonna go to slideshow from the beginning. So this will be pretty short, but you know, as we think about what we've been able to accomplish in our city and the focus that we've had on equity, it really is about creating an Albany for all, an Albany that recognizes that all of us are in this together. And, you know, as we look at our neighborhoods, neighborhood by neighborhood, we're only as strong as our least resourced neighborhood. And so I'm proud of that. And we have such potential. And when you look at where we were in 2019 and the future that was ahead of us, it really was remarkable. And I think we have to celebrate that and recognize that that doesn't happen just because somebody is mayor or somebody's our assembly member or a certain person, you know, is leading a not-for-profit. It happens because all of us are working together. And that is what has been driving what we've been doing and what we've been able to accomplish in our community. And so when I think about the rescue plan, anybody who saw my State of the City on Monday heard me say that the last time we spent $25 million in 1 year on one thing, it was to build the expansion of the landfill, right? Which we can all argue about landfill and whether we should have done that. It was before me, but it was built. I mean, imagine what we can do with $25 million. It's so exciting. The potential that it brings for our community and our future is really invigorating to me. And I hope that everyone is excited by it and inspired by it. And we're really limited by our own imagination. And when I think about the amount of work that went into creating a process that will be open and transparent, and where we'll all understand kind of how we're going to determine how to invest this funding in really impactful ways. I'm grateful to many of the people who are here, as well as to those who participated by filling out a survey. We had over 1,000 survey respondents. I talked to mayors all across the country. There are cities 3 times our size that didn't have 1,000+ people respond to their surveys about their rescue plan funding. We had 60+ direct meetings with community members and community groups. And we really focused on what were the impact areas. And I want to mention that the 41-member group of community leaders really represented all sectors, from the arts to, childcare, to banks, to our developers. We wanted everybody at the table, not just community-based organizations in their silo and, business in their silo. We brought everyone together to talk about what the potential was for our city. And what we came up with were these core values that are going to help us to determine where to invest the funding that is available. And just to make sure everybody knows, the portal is open, albanyforall.com, where we are doing a 2-step process for these applications. We wanted a low barrier to entry initial process. The application's very straightforward. We have a how-to video that's on the albanyforall.com website that walks you through what you need to do to fill out the application. It's available in multiple languages. It does have to be submitted in English, but we wanted to make it as accessible as possible. And when we look at all these applications, the initial applications as they come in, we're going to be looking at, how does this proposal improve the conditions that existed in disadvantaged or underserved communities that were so disproportionately impacted by COVID. Does this proposal show collaboration where we're working among multiple organizations? What are the partnerships that we can harness with this funding? Because we're not going to have every little string attached, right? Too often with the type of government funding that comes down, it's funding that can be used for, young people between the ages of, 18 and 24 who live in this particular zip code or census tract number, and it's really, confined. So we're looking for, this funding is flexible. So how can we collaborate together? When we look at these projects and proposals, are they sustainable? Is this, we want to make sure that we're not making promises that we can't keep. So how is this project or how is this proposal or program going to be sustainable? And then what is the impact? How are we going to measure that impact? Because I think, people are asking, they want to know, how am I going to know 5 years from now where this money went and what it really did for our community? And then we're also going to be looking at proposals that leverage other resources. So I'll give you an example that's an internal project. We're looking to remove lead services in the city, and initially our goal was to remove them by 2040. And then I challenged the water department and said, what if we could remove them by 2035, right? Let's move it up 5 years. Well, now with the rescue plan funding and the infrastructure funding that's available, what if we were able to leverage, for example, $1 million of infrastructure money and then match it with $1 million of our rescue plan funding? Could we remove lead services even sooner? That's what leverage is about. Looking at all of the resources that are available right now at the state and federal level, and then leveraging that with our rescue plan money. We want people to be innovative and entrepreneurial. We want to ensure that we're giving this money to entities that are engaging the public and really listening to our residents and meeting the needs of our residents because they're doing that engagement. And we're also looking for opportunities to bring things to scale. So while we want big impact, that doesn't necessarily mean that every project needs to be big, right? We could have a project that is smaller, that looks at, say, a 5-block area of the Mansion District or of West Hill, and wants to implement something innovative that then could be, proof of concept that we could then take to other neighborhoods. And so just to remind everyone, we have our impact areas where this funding can be spent. There are 5 impact areas. And if you look at my State of the City, I go into a lot more detail about this, and that is available on the city website. But we're looking to invest $25 million. Now, I am requiring that departments who want this money also have to go through this process. So, for example, our Hoffman Recreation Center, that's a little tired. And we've known that we need to invest in it in order to really think about what we could actually do there. And so that might be a project that we use rescue plan funding on to renovate and reimagine that space. But that will only happen if the recreation department gets through this application process, where the applications are going to be reviewed by an independent team and really go through a rigorous scrubbing. So I want to be as transparent as possible. I don't want there to be any question on the part of our residents where this money is being spent and how it's being invested. So as I said, the pre-application is available. It is, we had extended the submission date to March 1st. So you still have some time. And this is going to be a rolling process. We're not looking to get this, we want to get it out as quickly as possible, but we're going to be really thoughtful about it and strategic about it. And we're hoping that in 2023, there would be another round of investment. So this won't be the only time that we're going through this process. But if you have ideas, if you have opportunities, I really think from a leveraging standpoint, if a community-based organization in your neighborhood that's encompassed by your neighborhood association brings you on as sort of an outreach and public engagement partner, that's a definite, that's an example of leverage, right? That's an example of collaboration. So I'm very excited about what we have the opportunity to do. We've heard everyone loud and clear. We want to be able to look back on this and point to to measurable achievements and progress in our city. We're not looking to spread this thinly. This is a time for us to focus on what is possible in an age, in a day when we all need to have that hope. We all need to have that optimism and that excitement about our future. So again, this is what I'm going to be plugging. And I'll stop sharing my screen so that I can take questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor Sheehan. Does anybody have questions? Let me use your.
Wow, I'm going to get the Dan Webster treatment.
So Zach, I'll have a question if you don't have
Sure.
another one. So what you talk about, just kind of minor, the nuts and bolts, the street signs in Albany seem to be fading, actually along with the crosswalks, right? And we pride ourselves as being a pedestrian-friendly city. So is there an overall plan to replace the street signs and redo the crosswalks? And I've put in the crosswalk at Brevard and Washington Avenue into C-Clicks Fix without any success.
Oh, that it's faded?
Yeah, it's faded, wasn't done. And they actually redid Brevard at Washington and they didn't fix it.
Yeah, I will say, Howie, I'm really excited because we got a $2+ million grant from the state in the most recent REDC grant round to reimagine and redo Brevard. We put that in as a we had it as our wish list, weren't necessarily expecting it, but we got it. So let me talk to Bill, because we shouldn't be, in our excitement of redoing it, we should be maintaining what's there. So I'll talk to Bill Trudeau and determine why that wasn't done. And obviously we're not painting anything right now, but to make sure that it's on the list in the spring.
And that's a fairly dangerous intersection too. So, thank you.
Dan Van Ripe of Lincoln Park, you had your hand up, sir.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure how to phrase this question. You've been, the city has done a lot of, is doing a massive project in Lincoln Park, and you're dealing with the sewage infrastructure, which your last three predecessors didn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. But one of the things I hear a lot from people who live deep in the South End is that they feel that the city is not really interested in the South End. And I'm wondering what sort of ideas do you have for the South End? I mean, where exactly should we point this 25 million, or a share of the 25 million towards the South End? What sort of things has the city been looking at? What sort of projects to improve things in deep in the South End?
So, I mean, where to start? We are investing, tens of millions of dollars in that project in Lincoln Park. And then we're investing potentially, with the rebuilding of the Lincoln Park pool and how much that is going to cost, tens of millions of dollars more in ensuring that the South End has an amenity every bit as beautiful and that reflects what the community wants as Washington Park does for the city. And so, that investment is going to continue. And there are so many layers to that, because it includes ensuring that that we're providing recreational opportunity, but also, the ability for education space, and space for the community to host events and be in community together. When you look at what's happening in the Port of Albany, where the port is going to be home to the very first offshore wind tower turbine, wind turbine tower manufacturing facility in the country, we are working very closely with groups in the South End to identify a space, and one of those spaces is potentially 15 Warren, where all of the workforce development will take place, so that workforce development is accessible in the community, to the community, with priority in the South End for good paying jobs. The Albany County Land Bank, which I don't control and have no authority over, recently issued an RFP for a number of properties that they own in the deep South End. And I believe they are in the process of finalizing the selection of an entity that is going to develop hundreds of units of not only affordable rental properties, but affordable home ownership opportunities. And we fully expect to be asked to use some of our rescue plan funding to help to facilitate that investment. When you look at the opportunities in the South End, another one that is being looked at with rescue plan funding that I expect to get a proposal on is potentially taking the Sunshine School and turning that into not only a daycare facility that would have 125 seats of much needed daycare in the South End, but would then be an incubator for both training childcare providers as well as helping to establish in-home childcare seats that would be dispersed in the highest needs area of the city. So, there is a lot that has been invested in the South End and a lot that will continue to be invested in the South End. And I guess, we also need to do a better job of communicating that because there is a lot going on. And we are meeting with some of the South End organizations. I have meetings scheduled over the next week with the South End Collaborative, a Village, and the Lincoln Park, the Friends of Lincoln Park group.
Okay. I was talking to the thing about communication. I was talking to a fellow on my street, and he's standing there saying, well, what has Kathy Sheehan done? What has she done for this area? And I said, would you turn around? And you can see Lincoln Park behind him, and you can see the cranes. He looks at it and says, what's that? I said, let me explain it to you, It's,
yeah.
When do you think that 100, well, this is the land bank. I know you're not in charge, but when do you think we're start to see any sort of action on that in the next year or so, or what? On the,
Yeah,
you said hundreds of units.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get out ahead of the county on that. All I know is I've been told that there were a number. We were asked to include some city parcels in that RFP. So that was our only involvement. We said, of course, we're willing to throw them in as part of that RFP because there are some parcels that the city owns in the South End. So we included them in that, but we aren't part of the evaluation process for that RFP. But my understanding is that there were a number of proposals and that they are moving forward and are in talks with one of those RFP respondents.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's go to Maura McNulty and Melrose. Maura.
Hi, thanks for being here, Mayor Sheehan. This is just so informative. I'm wondering about, I'd like to hear more about what you're thinking about climate resilience and mitigation. And that's such a huge thing that, I know that $25 million would be a drop in the bucket in terms of actually contending with that on the scale it probably needs to be contended with. But I'm just wondering, where we're at with that. And as a citizen, I'm just personally hungry for ways to find out how to get involved in growing our climate resiliency in this area. So I was wondering if you could comment on that.
Sure. I mean, I'm really grateful for the people who volunteer to be, on our sustainability committee. We have people who have amazing backgrounds who are really diving into not just resiliency, because that's a really important part of it, but also, making sure that we are thinking as we develop about the climate impacts of the decisions that we're making. We do have a director of sustainability now. We promoted our energy manager into that role, and he is actively leading the city and also part of a group that is working within New York State to ensure that we meet the very aggressive climate goals that have been set. So that does include everything from right now we're looking at our 26 most energy using facilities that the city owns, and ensuring that we are going to meet our climate targets with our reductions that we've already committed to within those buildings. We're also building out our electric car infrastructure and charging infrastructure, including on-street charging, and making sure that we are looking at that. And we're also contemplating and considering things like, there are communities that will no longer allow any new gas stations to be built, right? Why should we be building new gas stations? So that's not currently a prohibition in our zoning code, but we're in the process of, looking at whether or not that should be. Also looking at our building code with respect to, there's been a lot of talk about with new construction, do you mandate that people have heat pumps as opposed to using gas or other means to heat and cool a building? So we're looking at that on all pieces, but I also think, again, from a communication standpoint, we need a landing page where you can see all of the resilience stuff that we're doing, because it's not just the $80 million big hole that's in the ground at the top of Lincoln Park. It's also wetlands that are being built, and infrastructure decisions that we make every day that focus on retaining stormwater and reducing the impacts of those high rain weather events that we're experiencing.
That would be incredibly helpful to be able to go and see a page on the city site that's just like that. Would be very helpful. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Great idea. Thank you.
Okay, Esther Thornton, New Albany, have a question, Esther?
Yeah, I work in the area on South Pearl. I work in the building where Key Bank is housed, and I read in the paper that there was a court decision that we could finally pry those pieces of property away from that family that owned them. And that is a really ugly area, going around the bus station and in back of the building where I work. And I was just wondering if you could speak to what might potentially be happening with that area.
Yeah. So, Esther, one of my best friends parks back there. So I feel like, I'm like, are you my friend or are you just going to complain to me every day? I mean, I know it, but it is challenging, right? It's a magnet for trouble. I know that, we have a lot of issues back there. So there's the family has one appeal left. We think we're going to be successful. We feel really confident in that, but we have to let the process play out. But I will say one of the things that I have been advocating for and where we've gotten some traction is in removing the Greyhound bus station, which we can do. The Greyhound bus station isn't part of that parcel that is still in litigation. Looking at that Greyhound bus station and reimagining it as a transit center where there would be a collaboration between the Albany Parking Authority and the Capital District Transportation Authority to build a facility there that would really, I think, be a source of pride coming into the city. And I think once that's accomplished and achieved, if that can get set in stone. So, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but I can tell you, I have made it clear to the governor's office and to our friends at the federal level, our senators and our congressmen, that is a priority for the city of Albany. And it's an equity issue, right? We've invested tens of millions of dollars in the airport. And, this is a gateway of entry for people who it deserves every bit as much to have a source of pride as we do in our airport. So I think that's getting traction, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to move on parallel tracks. So while that court, case is working its way out, that we can make sure we get the funding lined up with all this infrastructure money that's there, all the public transit money that's there. Public transportation is so important to our residents and to our region to get something built there. That then I think once that court case is settled, our understanding is there are a number of investors who are interested in doing a mixed use development there. So some housing, commercial, and really making it a vibrant, active space.
Yeah. Well, when my daughters were in college, they took a lot more trips out of that bus station than they did out of the airport.
Right. And I have friends that come visit me from New York and they take the bus,
Right.
and I make sure that I'm there 20 minutes before the bus gets in,
Right.
because, I want to be able to scoop them up as soon as they get off the bus.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Kelly Hausler in Beverwick. She has a question.
Hi, Mayor Sheehan. Thanks for joining us. I was so excited to learn about the Albany Tree Program, and I purchased one. And I actually wrote you a little thank you note on your, office on the online. And I don't know if it came to you, but I was like, this is such a great program. And I was so excited about my tree. My tree died pretty quickly.
What?
Yeah, so it was dying, and I reached out fast to OGS to say, am I overwatering? Am I underwatering? And I didn't hear back from anybody. Molly was going to get in touch with Justin. I kept reaching out to Molly, haven't heard from Justin, and people are busy and times are different. So in the meantime, I didn't want this tree to die. I know there's a warranty, but I don't want to need to activate a warranty when let's save it before it dies. And I was pretty in tune with it, but I didn't want to be doing the wrong thing. I reached out to Cornell Cooperative Extension. They said the central leader looks like it's dead. And I kept reaching out to Molly and Justin. And I also did C-Click Fix. And then now people on C-Click Fix are like troll comments. They're like, nobody's responding to you, Kelly. Nobody's gonna. And so then then I started feeling protective of the city, and I'm out front. People walk by. I talk to people all the time in the summer, and people are asking me, what's with your tree? And I don't want to say that it's a city tree because I don't want people to think bad things of the program, but I need help finding a way. Normally my next move is I activate Better Business Bureau when I've gone through this amount of time trying to get help. Is there somebody I could call or you would recommend?
No. I mean, I'm on it. I mean, I don't know what I don't know. And government should work at the lowest level that you contact, right? It should just work. So when you go on C-Click Fix, it should work. So I'm not going to ask you to do this on YouTube Live, but I'm going to get your street address from you, and I will find out what happened, because we have to do better, and we have to ensure that our systems are working. And there is no good excuse. Like I have no, I
appreciate
wouldn't give
that.
you an excuse because there's no
Yeah.
good excuse for that.
Part of me wanted to be asking, the specific question about the tree, but part of me also was like, she's gonna want to know that these
Yeah.
systems aren't working.
No,
So
the
I feel like you would
yeah.
want to know that. Yeah.
We invest a lot in these systems.
Right.
And when the systems aren't working, part of it too, it's helpful for me because we're thinking about some organizational development changes within the city to address these very issues. I mean, I will say this on live YouTube. I used to have a boss. Can I swear on here? It's not like it's not like it's not one of George Carlin's swear words, but he used to say, whose ass is on the porcupine, right? Like, who is responsible for this? Because unless you have someone who is responsible for that, it's not going to get done, right? And then the question is, are you asking, are you measuring, and are you rewarding for people who are actually doing what we ask them to do? And so it's like with vacant buildings and the Red X buildings, I got so frustrated as mayor. I'm like, why aren't we dealing with this? Why aren't we reducing the number of Red X's on our buildings? And I realized it was nobody's job. There wasn't one person who was responsible for it. It was all these different departments. So we applied for a grant and we got the funding and we hired a person whose job it was to focus on these buildings. And we've reduced the number of Red X buildings by 30%.
Brilliant.
So you can do it, but it has to be someone's responsibility. And I, as mayor, my job, I view it as making sure that I'm putting people in place and that I'm asking the right questions, that I'm measuring the right things, and that I'm rewarding what's happening. And your experience is not unique, unfortunately, and we have to do better. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do 2 more questions. One of them is I'm going to read from the chat from Aaron Johans. Would you consider specifically allocating resources towards making sure more buildings and homes in the lower income neighborhoods are able to withstand extreme weather events like heat waves, heavy rain, flooding, strong winds that will become more frequent with climate change? Much of our climate resiliency is an economic and infrastructure issue. Our ability to adapt will be based on how well we're able to prepare and take care of populations that are already vulnerable.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I have worked actively with National Grid to say that the methodology that they were using for determining how they restore power when there is, a mass outage because there's an extreme weather event was not being done through an equity lens. And so I understood why they technically would have the priorities that they had, but we've been really successful in working with them to change those priorities so that our lower income neighborhoods get the power turned back on first. Because what I said to them was, I could throw my kid in the back seat of my car and go to a restaurant and get food. In West Hill, people who lose a refrigerator full of food are then trying to figure out, am I going to pay the rent? Am I going to eat? Am I going to pay for my prescription? Or am I going to buy food? So we have to focus on the areas that are least able to be resilient when there is an extreme weather event. And so that is, we've worked on that with National Grid, and we've identified for them our vulnerable addresses, our vulnerable census tracts to be able to address that. And then with respect to the infrastructure investments that we're making, we're absolutely looking at those areas that are most vulnerable to flooding. And Sheridan Hollow is really probably of all of the areas that are formerly redlined areas that still has some issues. And, we have an investment plan in place to address some of those issues there.
Okay, let's go to Howie with the last question about C-Click Fix. Howie? You just gotta mute yourself, Howie.
I'll mute myself. So, Mayor Sheehan, you were talking about C-Click Fix. Now, do you see metrics from the system, like how many complaints come in, And does it give
Yep.
you a handle as to what's going on in the city?
Yes, I
And do you
do.
go over it with the department heads at,
I do, Howie. And then sometimes we test, and look, we're all humans. And so I don't want to, but sometimes things that are checked as being resolved aren't resolved. So, again, it's about accountability. It's about making sure we have an accountability structure. And I think from the standpoint, for example, of filling potholes and pothole responses, I'm pretty confident in the level of response that I'm getting. And sometimes it's not acceptable, right? Like because of a whole host of reasons, my commissioner of DGS will say, we're behind on pothole responses, right? This is how many complaints we got, and we've only filled 65% of them. That's not acceptable. With trees, I can tell you, Kelly, we're like at 35%. So they are telling me they are telling me bad news, but that still doesn't resolve the issue for our customers, our residents, and our customer service response.
but I have a question
yes,
about
and we need to do better.
the resolution, right?
Yeah.
So do they make sure it's resolved to the client's benefit, or do they just say, I resolved the problem? And
So some of it is within the system. So, we have worked really hard to ensure that. So sometimes what will happen, Howie, is that something will get sent to the water department, and the water department will be like, hey, this isn't our issue. So they'll click it as resolved. Well, the issue hasn't been resolved. It's just that the water department has determined that it's not their issue, right? So look, continuous improvement.
right.
And this is something, look, we right now I'm down almost 20% of my workforce. 17% of our positions are open in the city. So if any of you are looking for jobs, please come and talk to me. But we've got to do better. I'm not going to defend something that definitely could use improvement.
Like for example, I'm just kind of curious about this. In 2021, like how many C-click fix problems were there for the city?
You know what, Howie? I don't know that number off the top of my head, but thousands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get thousands of C-click fixes. And I will say that, the more routine ones, the ones that are easy do get done. It's the ones that require interdepartmental cooperation that are more challenging. The tree issue I keep hearing. And so in our 2022 budget, we have changed the structure of our forestry department. And so I'm expecting, again, those positions are still open, but we've created some new positions. So we've got to get those filled. But what happens, and I know you guys have other things to talk about, but what happens in the Department of General Services is we have to pick up garbage, right? Like at a minimum, every day we have to pick up garbage. So if 7 people call off sick, that's 7 people from forestry and street maintenance that are getting put into picking up garbage. And so we're always behind. So in our 2022 budget, we're trying to fix that. And we have a huge labor shortage. So we've created the positions to try to fix that. And now we got to fill them.
So I just want to say that, aside from you get some complaints, but I think the snow removal has been excellent. And the storms and the streets. And we also had an issue on our street on Melrose where one of the neighbors' pipes froze and the water ran down. So the water department showed up right away, turned off the water, and they even had a salt truck come and salt the street. So that was pretty impressive.
I have to agree with Howie. I have a friend in Colony where they said the plow came through once. once. So, all right. Well, thank you, Mayor Sheehan. Thank you very much
Thank
for coming to
you.
Cana. We appreciate
All right.
it.
Appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for everything you do to make our city a great place.
Thank you, Mayor Sheehan.
Very
All
good.
right, next we have, thank you. Next we have Erin Johan. She, let's see, I'm gonna try your title here. AmeriCorps Vista for 2022 Love Your Block with Cities of Service. She's here tonight also with Tabora Marcus and Sam Wells. So Erin, thanks for coming whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be doing screen share right now. Right. Okay, so hello everyone. Again, my name is Erin Johans and I'm the Vista for the 2022 Year Love Your Block program. And again, with us, we also have Tabora Marcus and our director, Sam Wells. And so what is Your Block? This is a grant-funded program through Cities of Service and Johns Hopkins University and is funded by Bloomberg Philanthropies. This program has been around for quite some time. It was started in 2009 and has been implemented in cities all across the country, from Phoenix, Arizona to El Paso, Texas, Detroit, Michigan, Birmingham, Alabama, and we are very excited to have it here in Albany with us today. Since 2009, there has been more than 9,000 community members across the US that have removed 5.6 million pounds of trash. Art displays, cleaned 60,000 square feet of graffiti, and maintained and repaired over 730,000 square foot of community and other public spaces. So our general mission and goals for Love Your Block are to reduce poverty, fight blight, build community connections, empower citizens to take an active role and change, reduce crime, and revitalize and beautify public spaces. There have been many different initiatives in different cities, from block-wide trash cleanups to block parties, painting murals, planting more trees, starting community gardens, and converting vacant lots and abandoned buildings to gardens. And so those are just other projects that we're also hoping to have here in Albany. And in Albany, for 2022 and for 2023, this is a 2-year project. We have $20,000 in our budget for Love Your Block per year. And one of the things that we'll be doing with that is our mini grants program, which is going to award grants of $500 to $1,500 to different local organizations that are following our mission and fighting blight in our target neighborhoods that have been previously redlined. So we'll be focusing specifically on Arbor Hill, West Hill, North Albany, the South End, and extending into parts of Beverwyck, Mount Hope, Delaware, and 2nd Avenue, as well as Sheridan Hall and Park South. And we're also hoping to hold block parties in those neighborhoods as well and recruit volunteers for block-wide cleanup events. In addition, when someone is awarded one of these mini grants, we will also be going into those neighborhoods, and people who are nominated, who are homeowners who would like minor stoop repairs done, we will also be having that as a part of the program. And Deborah, do you want to jump in on this? Or if you'd like, I can just keep going from here. I think you're muted, but I'm just gonna keep going. So within the Stoop Repair aspect of the Love Your Block program, as I said, we'll be focusing mainly on minor repairs for homeowners. And then we'll be doing work like replacing the skirts around porches. We'll be putting in new wood. We'll also be doing some painting, generally tasks that most volunteers would be able to handle. But then we're also looking to partner with different organizations like Mission Accomplished and MAP to hopefully have some of those students be able to handle bigger projects that will require a little bit more in-depth knowledge and research on the porches. And so In order to qualify for the mini grant program, we want to make this as open and available to as many applicants as possible. So we would just want people applying to be within the city limits of Albany, both as an organization and also within their target goals or project. In addition, all of their goals must be met and measured by the end of the year. We understand that many of these projects we might be contributing to as a larger goal. Again, 500 to 1,500 we know is not a ton of money, but what we're hoping to do is look at other organizations and what projects are currently going on, and then be able to supplement that or see if there are any neighbors or other community members who have any ideas that they would like to start on their block that might be a little bit smaller. And so in addition to measurable goals, we would also want a detailed budget of all of the expenses. So any tools that they would need in order to complete the project, which anything that they wouldn't be able to provide or get through the mini grant, we would also be willing to partner with them as well and build other community connections. In addition, we'll also be demonstrating, we would want that group to demonstrate our mission and how they're going to be able to fight blight, reduce poverty, creating more of those community connections, providing necessary resources, or restoring a public space. They can do one or all of these, but as long as it's meeting that criteria, they would be open to apply. And so we are looking to have our grant applications open starting at the end of the month, and we'll leave them open for about 30 days or so to try and get as many applications. We'll be offering direct assistance with the application, and the mini grants will be due at the end of March. Both myself and Deborah will be able to have open office hours in which we can help people fill out the application. Again, we want to make sure that it is as easy to read and fill out as possible. And we're also looking to have the grant available in multiple different languages to make sure that we are covering our reach as much as possible. Then in April, we'll be reviewing the application and awarding the mini grants, and we're hoping to have the first project started by Earth Day. And then May through September is going to be our busy months. That's when we'll be assisting with a lot of community cleanups and helping to assist with other grant projects. We'll also be looking for a lot of volunteers during that time. And that's when we'll be implementing our minor stoop repairs and holding some of our block parties. And then we're looking to have all of our program activities, again, wrapped up by the end of October, and for those groups to be able to demonstrate how that money was spent and how effective their project was in the community. And I do really want to stress that we want to make sure that this project has as much of an impact as possible and that it is long lasting. We definitely don't want this project to be something where we come in, we help them with a project or idea, but then by next year, things are more or less the same. We want to make sure that we continue that impact and then we offer that assistance so that way, whatever project or idea they're doing continues to affect the community. And again, making sure that we have, I do apologize, I'm losing my thoughts for a moment. But again, to wrap this up, we're hoping to have all of our project wrapped up by 2023, and then we'll start to analyze how effective our program is done and then plan again for next year. And we're also doing some general feedback. These are just some of the questions that we've been asking potential partners and potential grantees, as well as other community members, just to get some feedback so that way we can analyze where there's the most need, what community members are looking for, and what we're hoping to achieve with the program. And so again, we're just looking to see what the biggest issues are affecting the community, what are some general causes of the issues, what can be done, whether that is, by a community member or within the city government, and then how, even within our limited scope of the program, how we can help contribute to solutions and best use our available resources. And then we're just brainstorming with the other groups, trying to find out what other general program activities or projects that they would like to see, even if we aren't able to achieve that through Love Your Block. And then again, analyzing what other outreach and events are already taking place within the city, because we definitely want to make sure that we're not going to be repeating something that's already done. And Deborah and Sam, is there anything else that you would like to touch on, or anything that you feel like I missed when talking about the Love Your Block program?
No, Aaron, I think you covered it pretty well. I know there's other items on the agenda, so if we want to move to questions and see if folks have any questions about the Love Your Block program. I see Maura's hand is up.
Yep, Maura McNulty, go ahead.
Hi there. So that sounds so wonderful. And I was snagged when you said that you were aiming to start on Earth Day or thereabouts. And the reason, and so my question is this, I'm actually a part of the group of people who are working to do the Earth Day committee. It's like a group of folks trying to do some Earth Day stuff in the city. And so I'm just wondering if there's a way that we could connect, because it might be a neat way, for us to sort of cross amplify. The Earth Day committee could kind of promote what you guys are doing, and it just might be a way to build some community connections. So would you guys be open to maybe exchanging emails, and maybe you could come to is there a way that, I guess what I'm asking, is there a way to connect with people doing Earth Day planning? If you're seeing Earth Day as sort of the kickoff for a lot of these projects.
Absolutely. We would definitely love to exchange emails. And as I said earlier, we're doing a lot of talking with different groups. So we would love to be able to get your feedback, but also be able to talk a little bit more about the program in depth with you at one of your meetings.
Yeah, Maura, I'll drop a SurveyMonkey link in the comments.
Okay.
That'll have you give us some time to sign up for a meeting with us, and we can talk through your ideas and whatnot. So
fantastic. Thank you so much.
Louise, did you have a question?
I'll ask after the meeting at another time. Thanks, Zach.
Okay, sure. Michelle Saratinsky, Beverwick.
Sure. You mentioned something about parts of Beverwick that would be available for this. Do you know offhand what those are, or is that something that we can talk about later? Parts of Beverwick. Is that up to North Allen Street, or I'm just trying to think of.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, and Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had identified the area around North Allen Street, but let me double check our maps. And Michelle, we should definitely touch base with you on that, to be more specific.
Okay, that would be very good. Thanks.
We also know that many of the neighborhoods within Albany don't have distinct lines. In fact, many of the residents who live there will often contest, where one neighborhood starts and another one ends. And in addition, many aspects of play also don't stick firmly into neighborhood lines. And that's part of the reason why we want to expand our reach and leave some of these definitions a little bit more flexible. So that way we're not cutting anyone out who might want to apply, who doesn't fit perfectly in that mold. But if they were to, say, be a part of a neighborhood like Whitehall, then that probably wouldn't be someone that we would encourage to apply. We are obviously not going to say no, but it wouldn't fit into the general mission and purpose of Love Your Block.
Does anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for coming on. I appreciate it. Aaron, Sam, Deborah, thank you very much. And if okay, I can send out the slides that you had tonight, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll send it out to the listserv. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Did somebody say something? Oh, let's see, committee reports. John O'Grady, do you have a codes committee update?
We're going, you hearing me?
Yep.
Okay, meeting next Friday with Rick LaJoy, and if there's anything newsworthy that's a citywide issue or a neighborhood-wide issue, I'll let you know in the March meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, John. All right, first item under new business, we're gonna go to Louise McNeely. She's gonna talk about, again, the Homeowner Assistance Fund and an upcoming landlord workshop. Louise, when you're ready.
Hi, yes, thanks. Just very quickly, I just want to make sure that people know about the Homeowner Assistance Fund. It's very easy to apply. The website, I'll put it in the chat, but it's New York homeownerfund.org. And what I've learned is that they're not getting in anywhere near the number of applications that they thought they would from our area. So I'm on the hot seat. And this is money that can be used if your neighbors are behind on their mortgage payments, they're behind on their property taxes, if they're behind on their manufactured home loans, which are different than mortgages, or their lot leases, co-op condo fees, water sewer fees, so housing related expenses, and if you were financially impacted by COVID. The funding that's available is up to $50,000, which goes a lot farther here than it does in Long Island. And if people need help locally to apply, they can contact our office. We have a foreclosure prevention program ongoing. It's been going on for decades, but this is the first time that we have this kind of money for some of those uses, for example, property taxes. So I just want to encourage people to apply soon. I think the application portal is going to close, and I want to make sure that our neighbors make the most of this opportunity and that the Capital Region benefits from this funding. And then just the other thing, just to remind people, you know, our neighborhoods need good landlords. And so the next landlord workshop is Thursday, February 24th at 5:30, and you get to learn from landlords who are doing a great job, and you get hundreds of dollars worth of legal documents, and so I hope you'll raise that with either landlords in your neighborhoods that could be better landlords, or for folks that are thinking about investment properties. So I'll put that information also in the chat. Thank you very much.
Okay, Louise, I think John O'Grady's got a quick question for you. John, go ahead. Go ahead and mute yourself there.
It's not about what Louise was said, so if anyone has a question on that, please go. I just, sorry, Louise.
Sorry, John. I thought you were gonna give me a softball question.
No, I just have a comment. And the comment is, there is a map of neighborhood associations in Albany. It has pretty well-defined boundaries. None of them have changed their boundaries that I know of, and I love maps, so I'm always looking at this thing. None of them changed except for Sheridan Hollow, which I think expanded a little bit, and there might be some uncertainty about that. But if you're wondering, look at the map. It is hard to find either on the Cana site or on the city website. I think it's actually easier to find on the city website. Look, when you get to a screen with the word neighborhoods on it, you should see it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Louise. All right. Now we're going to go to Violetta DeRosa with the Helderberg Neighborhood Association with an important post office update for us. Violetta, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for this opportunity. So I'm sure most of you on this call are familiar with the backstory and the post office on New Scotland. Shake your head if you know about it, if you can. So I'm not going to go into the history of it, but what I'd like to, as you should all know by now, is that the new, thank you, Dan. What you should all know now that there is a post office working with emergency funding, and it is funded every 6 months currently at the Ontario Street address at the Rise Apartments. So that address is 363 Ontario Street. Well, unfortunately, you know, you probably saw the article on the Times Union that we are at very great risk of losing that as well. What has happened, and just to clarify that, because we're still going to have that post office for another 6 months, but the developer of the New Scotland site was told by the post office that they're not going to renew a lease. They're not going to take a lease at the New Scotland space, which had been reserved for them. So at this point, that developer has leased out every retail space in that new development. So it only leaves us with the one remaining space, which is the retail space, which it is currently housed at in on Ontario Street in the Rise. So they have not signed a 10-year lease. The post office is now saying that due to loss in revenues, that they're not sure that they're going to sign a new lease. So we got together last Sunday with a large group of neighborhood association leadership. We met with members from Dana, Pine Hills. I've got it all written down here. So a large group of us met and decided what is our action plan going to be. And we really decided that, and we really all came to the conclusion and we agree that we have to work together to try and save the post office. And we're not looking for a new site because the post office has said there is no potential site other than where they're currently at in this emergency funded area in the Rise. So we know that we have to work together to really get them to commit to sign a 10-year lease where they currently are. So we have decided that really we have to attack this in a three-pronged phase, which is one, we have to really drive usership of that post office. They are stating that, well, they have lost revenues. Well, of course you've lost revenues because the only people that have been told were PO box operators, those who have PO boxes. So if you don't have a PO box, you were not informed. So we do have the post office is open for operation. I highly encourage all of your members to use it because we're really at that state. It's use it or lose it. So we are working on a postcard collectively that we would like to get out to as much of our membership as possible to really let them be aware that there is a fully operational post office on Ontario Street. The other pronged approach that we are taking to this is that we've been lobbying our elected officials who've been very supportive of this. Of course, we've been working very closely with Paul Tonko, and we've just opened conversations also with Gillibrand's office. Of course, our elected officials are very supportive. In the past, as you know, we've had council members who have had resolutions supporting the post office. We are looking for them to do that again. We are also going to try and work with our county legislators as well and see how they can be of help. The mayor's office has been very supportive. We are also looking to create an online petition as well, so we can get that out to the general city, because we really, in the last 12 years, we've lost 3 post offices. So this would be the 4th that we lose. So we're really working hard to try and save it. So, any help we would love for you. We're going to have another meeting on Sunday to really, and we're trying to work really fast so that we can get as much information out to the public. We are working on a letter to the Times Union as well that will be signed by all of our neighborhood associations. So in a response to the Time Union article that really didn't give sort of a fully reflective story of what's been happening with that situation. Not a lot of the backstory wasn't entailed, and I think that should be put out to the public. So again, so while we are underway with these efforts, I really encourage you to go back to your members and really ask them to use the post office. Make sure your friends and families and local business know, and stay in touch with the neighborhood association. And as we share out information to the wider group, as well. And we will, once we get the campaign rolling for the awareness campaign, there'll be social media posts that go with all that. So we'll develop a toolkit for everyone to utilize as well. So I'm going to put some of the our contact information. So if you're interested in working with us, we'd love, many hands make light work. So I'll put that in the chat, as well as post office operations. So you can share that out with people as well. So I'll do that. If you have any questions, I hope I can answer you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Violetta, for the update. I appreciate it very much.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Luke, did you have any Ualbany updates before we go into the Cana business?
Just quickly, because I know we're running up against time. Students are back. My intern, John Hansley, who's a senior political science major, he's actually on the call tonight. So welcome, John. Great meeting, Zach, as always, with the mayor. Very interesting and love my block program. Just some events that are coming up on campus that I wanted to make sure and bring the group up to speed on. The New York State Writers Institute is back and doing in-person events. So last week I had the opportunity to attend an event in Page Hall with Dr. Alice Green. They have a full docket of events coming up over the next couple of months. I'd like to make sure, Zach, that you get that information so that you can share it with the group as part of the minutes. But their website is nyswritersinstitute.org, nyswritersinstitute.org, and you can actually sign up for their email if you'd like, and they will bring you up to speed. And one of the events that are coming up that I'm most excited about attending is the Uma Abedin speaker, who's going to be coming in. If you can't remember, she's the political strategist and vice chair of Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. So she's going to be talking about her book in this event that's going to be happening in the Campus Center Ballroom in late February. Additionally, we have a spring broadcast series, which is going to be conducted virtually. These are different speakers that are very well known on a national level, and it's going to be live. And so they will be speaking to us live, but virtually. So that way you can attend in the comfort of your own home. We have a couple coming up, Lindsey Vonn, who is the most decorated female skier of all time, Olympic gold medalist, and she participates in the alpine skiing event. And so her talk is going to be on February 15th at 7 p.m. And then Terry Crews, for those of you who know Terry Crews, the actor, the NFL star, the Time Person of the Year, etc., February 22nd at 7. So I will send out, again, Zach, the full list of what that speaker series is. And all of these events are free. They're open to the public. We'd love to see a decent attendance at all of these. Lastly, we do have a free Narcan training coming up on February 9th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is also a virtual opportunity. Narcan is the reversal agent for opioid overdoses. And in addition to teaching individuals on how to administer Narcan, any participant who takes part in this training will get a free Narcan kit. So you will be able to immediately, God forbid you find yourself in that situation, administer the opioid overdose agent, reagent. And then last but not least, I know that the last meeting that I attended, there was some interest in taking part in E-Tech Tour, our immersion, the new building here on campus. If you are interested in that, please let me know. I am in a position to set you up with a tour. So I will make sure that Zach has my email address. He can put it out to the group. In fact, I'll put it in the chat. And that way, any person who's interested in getting a tour of E-Tech, just hit me up and we will get something scheduled for you. And that's it.
Thanks, Luke. I actually, I was talking with Jordan a little bit about it too, and we're aiming for sometime maybe later in February. So, well, we'll touch base for sure.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So next on the agenda, so the Cana Executive Committee met recently just to discuss a few items. First, Cana has a spot this year in the 2022 St. Patrick's Day Parade. We're going to be marching with the South End delegation. So I'll be sending out an email with the rules of the parade and ask folks that want to march to RSVP, and so we can get a head count. So one thing that was mentioned was a proposal to purchase a Cana parade banner with our new logo to use this year and hopefully many years to come. I did get a price from Rem Printing, which is a local union shop, for $275. So seems pretty fair. So I guess if I can get a motion to make the purchase, I'd appreciate it.
I'll take a motion.
Okay. Anybody got a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Holly. Oh, we got several seconds.
Okay. Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and move forward with the purchase. It takes about 4 days to make it. So we'll have it in time for the March 12th St. Patrick's Day parade. It's going to be at 2:00. So, all right, great. Second item, introduction of Cana bylaw amendments. The way this works is we will introduce them tonight. Then next month we can discuss the amendments, and then we can vote on them the following month. It's a 3-step process. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and share my screen. If you have any, let's see here. So the first amendment is just a obvious typographical error in the heading of Article 1. And I'll be sending this out before the next meeting so everybody can review with just a small memorandum, just to bullet point what we're doing. So I kind of just cleaned up the language here about the executive committee. It consists of officers and delegates, and we make up the members. And we are also adding in the treasurer and the secretary position in section 1. Just cleaning up this paragraph here. We took out the duties of secretary and treasurer shall be performed by the Neighborhood Resource Center. That hasn't happened in quite some time, so we took that out. And then in this section, just clarified the duties of the Cana treasurer and also created the new Cana secretary position to assist with the monthly recording of Cana meeting minutes. And I think the other one is just affirming that our annual meetings where we have elections and whatnot happens in December instead of January. And I think that's it. So I'll send them out, and then next month I'll reintroduce, and then we can discuss, and then we'll have a vote the following month. Okay, sound good? All right. Another topic that came up in the executive committee meeting was the idea of creating a new Cana website. We currently have a Google website, and as Howie knows, we had to upgrade the site. We were forced to upgrade to a new Google site. And seems to, we had some issues. Some folks are having real problems getting to our attachments, getting to the communications. John O'Grady, you're shaking your head. I've gotten, some people have said they can't find the membership forms. They can't see where the emails are stored. So the idea was to maybe hear from you folks about what functionality and enhancements you may want in a Cana website. So does anybody have ideas of what they would want that we could start adding to our want list? I know, Howie, you mentioned a community calendar idea, right?
Yeah, so one of the kind of these long wishes were to have a community calendar, which we attempted to use the Google Calendar, but the key is having people keep it up to date. And we also talked about kind of being the master website for all the neighborhood associations too, right? So we could provide our site and provide maybe some hosting capability for the other neighborhood associations. So everybody doesn't have to maintain their own site.
Okay, Dan Van Riper, you got something to add?
Yeah, I would just make two suggestions. One would be to keep the site as simple as possible, and not think about too many things right at this point. The first thing to do is get it up and running and make it legible and user friendly. The second thing I wanted to point out is, well, it's kind of been in my head here since that since the executive meeting we had. Shouldn't that be keeping the website be given to one person as an assignment? And wouldn't that person be this new secretary position, or is the secretary just meant to be recording minutes? Should the secretary have more functions?
Yeah, well, I know more, like right now, Maura's taking the minutes, but the goal is with the secretary, hopefully I could get some more assistance with like the social media and, and probably the website. So,
well, do you want to be in control of the website yourself? I mean, keeping it updated and stuff. I mean,
Well, I'm the admin for the current one now, where
okay.
I load the minutes, the agendas, and the emails get saved automatically when you send it through the listserv.
Well, there should be probably several admins, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something I'm open to.
Okay.
Absolutely. Anybody else have ideas of what they might want on a website? Oh, John, go ahead. Gotta unmute yourself, John.
Yeah, I got it. Not my area of expertise, but I've known people who create their own websites. I don't know, and I think it's basically free if you go to the right place. That's about all I know. And if that's more convenient and more we're more in control of it. I just want to throw that out there.
So John, so just as kind of an example, right? So I was a big believer in free, but Google's free, is not quite free, right? So when the upgrade was done, it really kind of degraded our site, the site the way it was. And on the executive, just when we were talking was, yeah, maybe we should just pay. I mean, because they're not that much now, and you tend to get more functionality. Right. And then the other question I have is, I don't know if there's somebody out who's listening, who's a webmaster, or who knows somebody that can help us with a website redesign. So, and I mean, part of it came up was because Cana has a little budget now to use. Right. So if we're not paying for the minutes anymore, then maybe we can pay and get better functionality from a website. Right. Because any social media that you use, really, it's not free, right? Because you're providing the content and they're getting your personal information and tracking you on the web. So.
Does anybody else have ideas?
Zach, I do. It'd be nice to have a page with some resources, just listing community resources, even if that's just, I know people can go to the city page, but sometimes they don't. And they need to access things from different ways. What's happening in town, going to, here's the Writers Institute. This is what's happening. Just sort of that cross pollination. What's happening, the homeowners, homeowner coalition, having that, there's so many non-for-profits and services in our community that it would just be nice to have us place a landing page for all of those. Herculean task, I know, but starting off with what we know and just keep adding to it potentially.
That's good.
Yeah, there used to be a links. I just checked the site. Our links page has disappeared. So.
Yeah, there's problems.
Yeah. So Ashley, so was that Violetta? There used to be that link of all the list of the resources that were there. So, and you know, the cities and the way we kind of was organized it, you know, if you take a look at the city, so really the city is a city of higher education, right? And we have hospitals and we have, you know, and there's outside things to do in the city, and it's a city of arts. So that's kind of how it was organized. And there was a listing for all the neighborhood association sites, among other things.
Well, keep it then. That sounds good.
Well, we have to go back. I think in the upgrade, we lost something there.
Yeah, but the data is there. The data is
Right.
there. It just has to be formatted. So
Yeah,
that's already
how
a
it
huge
was.
step.
That's, yeah, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, one thing I would want in the new website is to be able to migrate all of what we do have as far as the history of the meeting minutes, the agendas over and still store them so people have direct access to them. I think that's a good service. Maura?
I think that one thing that would be very handy to have on the website is to just have a list of contact information for each neighborhood. So for example, if you live in Melrose neighborhood, who is the person that you should contact for your neighborhood association? So, you know, the really basic stuff like that. And I'm not sure who said keep it simple. But as someone who has done a couple websites, the maintenance is brutal and they're not as easy to set up as you know, it might appear. So I think that I really feel like, you know, deciding on what the bare essentials are, putting those on there, there's no reason you can't add, but you know, take a very small bite of the elephant to begin with, it seems to me.
Good. I mean, what I could do is when we're ready to do this site, I could send out a form to each neighborhood association to give a little up-to-date, you know, background history about the neighborhood association and work on getting, you know, the most up-to-date neighborhood map up there as well. I know Robert Murphy with Whitehall, he actually created a new version of a neighborhood map. I'm not sure if everybody's seen that, but that's a good one. I could talk to him and see if maybe we could use his version, which I think looks the best. So, all right. Any other input on the website? Okay. I think what I wanted to do was maybe send out a Google poll to the listserv with some of the ideas and just see what everybody wants. See what's the best, most popular items. Sound good? Okay. All right. Anything else, new business, folks? All right. Let's see, future meetings. March 2nd, Assembly members Pat Fahey, John McDonald, they're going to come talk about the state budget. We also have Scott Townsend. He is with the Ualbany Riverfront Collaborative. It's a local organization that's looking at the prospect of taking down 787. It's been in the news quite a lot. Yeah, Dan, thumbs up. And I know Pat Fahey, she's going to be on the meeting, and she's been a big advocate for the concept of doing that, turning it more into a boulevard. April 6th, we have a community conversation with our new Albany City Council members, Gabrielle Romero, Sergio Adams, Megan Keegan, Hyde Clark, and Deb Zamer. We're also going to have a presentation by Jackie Gonzalez. She's with the City of Albany Sustainability Advisory Committee. Then May, we're going to have the Albany City School District and Albany Public Library. In June, and we're going to have Albany County Executive Dan McCoy in June. Okay, does anybody else have anything to add tonight before we adjourn? All right.
Thanks for setting this up, Zach. This was really super, super interesting meeting. These are just so productive and excellent and interesting.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Be well, stay safe. I'll see you next month, okay?
Thanks.
Okay. Take care.